Hey guys, this is Unknown. We're going to be looking at a user-submitted replay sent in by Aezync, who is our red Protoss friend here. And he's playing against Blue Zerg Kevin. That's right, just Kevin. Couldn't come up with a name, so he went with Kevin. Alright, it looks like Aezync is sending out a very early scout. Probably going to be seeing proxy gateways with this. Can't really think of any other reason to send out a scout this early. No, just scouting. Okay, apparently he was very afraid of the 6-pool. But even if you think your opponent's going to 6-pool, you don't really need to scout that early. You can send one out after you pile on and still have enough time to react to a 6-pool. So we do have a gateway going down on 10, which is pretty strange, unless we're planning some really early zealot pressure. You should be waiting till 13 for your gateway. That's standard. Throwing down a gateway this early just means you have to cut probes, which puts you behind an economy right at the start of the game, which you don't want to be doing to yourself. Now, we have this probe in his base, but we're not really scouting with it. As we can see, Zerg does have an expansion up, but we haven't seen it. We haven't checked really behind the mineral line to see if there's a spawning pool there. We have no idea what Zerg's up to. So right now, this probe should be heading over to the expansion, see if there's an expansion there, and should be checking behind the mineral line to see the timing on the spawning pool. Instead, he's just running away with it. Not really sure why. Okay, we do have our cybernetics core going down early, so I guess the reason for an early gateway would be to get the cybernetics earlier. We can get warp gate earlier, do an early attack. However, we've just now started mining gas, and the cybernetics core is finished. Warp gate requires 50 gas, which we do not have, so if you're doing this early build, you definitely got to get gas earlier so you can get your warp gate earlier, so that you can do your attack earlier. Looks like Zerg is stealing our gas, which is a little bit annoying. Just gotta take care of that with the zealot. Or not, okay. One zealot really can't take care of it though, because the Zerg can just keep canceling and rebuilding, and you're going to need more than a single zealot to take it out. Otherwise, you'll just be wailing away on it forever. So we got warp gate, not chrono boosting it. We do have energy, so if we're planning a 4-gate or a 3-gate attack, we should constantly be chrono boosting that. Alright, looks like we have our 4th gateway down now. So we are going to be seeing a 4-gate. And, okay, I didn't see this. We took the Zerg's gas. Now, we have scouted the natural. There's really no reason to be taking this. You're just setting yourself back 75 minerals. If the Zerg wanted his extra gas, which when you go for a fast expand, Zerg generally sit on one gas for a while, you can just take these gases and take this one way later. So, really no reason to take this. And even if Zerg was on one base, the only reason to take a gas is if you're really afraid of a build and you want to prohibit the Zerg from doing that, then you can take a gas to do that. But again, he expanded, so this is really doing nothing except setting yourself back 75 minerals. So our warp gates are done. However, there's no proxy pylon in place, so this attack isn't going to be coming anytime too soon, and it's not going to be very strong. And it looks like he has 2 geysers queued up here. This is really not necessary at all. Okay, something else to note here. You don't want to put all your tech buildings right at your ramp here, because all the Zerg has to do is peek up with a couple Zerglings. You can see what you have. You can see your 4-gate. If you hit your buildings back near your nexus, the Zerg just poked his Zerglings up there. He wouldn't really see anything, but now he has time to prepare for this 4-gate. Actually, I think he scouted it with the drone, but regardless, you want to put your buildings back so they have a harder time scouting, and they can't prepare as easily. So continuing on, looks like we're moving out, but again, there's no proxy pylon in place, so this attack isn't going to be very strong. This is definitely more than enough Zerglings to hold this attack off, but okay, not committing to it. Just going to sit at the watchtower. Not really sure what the logic behind this is. Okay, right now we see Zerglings running by, warping in some units here. Good. So we're just going to poke back to these rocks, but we do have the pylon here, so we can see that happening. Still no attack. I don't really understand why you would go for a 4-gate build and then not do the 4-gate attack. So we are moving out now. Zerglings are way up in his position. He only has a handful of Zerglings in his base, so if we can force field the ramp, Going to be able to do a lot of damage with this attack. Taking out Overlord's good. Moving around the spine crawler is definitely smart. Not sure about that force field, but okay. Great force field on the ramp, keeping those Zerglings out. Going to do a lot of damage in this expansion here. Now, while this is all going on, look at our money, just building up. You got to be macroing still while you're doing your attacks. We're just watching our army here kill stuff. Definitely no reason to be watching the army at this point. You should be back at your base macroing, taking an expansion, doing something here. We're sitting on almost 800 minerals now. So any lead we do get from this attack really is going to be nullified by the fact that we haven't done anything ourselves. So we're going to take on an expansion, it looks like. Although the Zerg is ahead, 21 drones to 19 probes. Got to continue probe production all game long. Looks like this attack is going to be held off after this expansion goes down. So, at this point, we've killed an expansion, but if we look at armies, we're ahead by a little bit in army size, behind in food count though, behind in income. We don't have an expansion. So really, we're pretty much even with Zerg at this point, where we could have a pretty huge lead right now. And we're sitting on 100 energy on our Nexus. Definitely want to be spending that on anything you can. Spending it on anything is better than just having it sit there. So we are finally throwing down an expansion, but still no probe production. So again, 19 probes. Should be having probes being built all game long. One base is saturated by 30 probes, so 19, not even close. And then once this expansion's up, if we transfer half our probes, we're going to be on 9 or 10 probes per base, which is not good. You want to have 2 fully saturated bases by the time you expand, or close to it, as close to it as possible. So we built 1 more probe, it looks like. Gotta keep building more all game long. Alright, not too much going on right here. Gonna speed it up a little bit. We do have Twilight counts, we have Blink. Got a Dark Shrine going down. Again, we should have a proxy pylon across the map somewhere so we can get units there faster, do an attack. It's also good to have pylons behind mineral lines so you can know when the Zerg is expanding, what he's up to, and just around the map in general. So if Mutalisks come out, you can see them flying around. You know what's going to be coming at you. Oh, we do have Mutalisks. Okay, missed that. Not too many Mutalisks, so a few Stalkers should be able to handle this pretty easily. Okay, it's important to note here, hotkeys, we don't have our army hotkeyed. So that means every time you want to react to these Mutalisks, you have to box over your army and tell them to attack. Just hotkey your army to something, and it makes everything in this game a lot easier. You can micro easier, and while you're in battle, you can go back to your base, macro up, and then just quickly select your army again with hotkeys. No reason to not be using them. So Mutalisks doing some damage here to our economy, but Stalkers are able to push them back. And again, we don't have probes being built. Sitting at 28 probes. We should have 60 probes for the 2 bases we're on. Minerals per minute, we're at about 700, whereas 1 fully saturated base will give you 800 income. So definitely got to be aware of that. Constantly building probes, using that energy. Got a forge, got to be getting some upgrades, I assume. Maybe some cannons at the mineral lines. Or maybe nothing. Nope, cannons, okay. Keep the Mutalisks away. This, I don't know how I feel about this, because you can just use Stalkers to micro, but if you're not that confident in your ability, then some cannons are always safe, but not necessary. So looks like Zerg is doing an attack here with the Zerglings. Or not, just kind of poking in, that's good. Okay, we have part of our army back here, part of our army up here fighting. Again, this problem would be solved if we just had everything hotkeyd together. So, looks like quite a bit of damage is going to be done here. More Zealots warping in, not necessarily what you want against Mutalisks, but definitely good against Zerglings. Looks like we will hold this off, but taking quite a large hit to our army, where Zerg only lost Zerglings pretty much, and he actually lost quite a few Mutalisks. okay, at this point, 500 minerals, definitely got to keep spending them. We have these warp gates not on cooldown, so we're going to be warping in units. Need to be getting upgrades from our forge. We built the forge, want to be making use of it. And looks like we are sacrificing some zealots here. Okay. Do have High Templar, but Psystorm is not on the way quite yet. If you want High Templar, you definitely need to have these gas way ahead of time, because High Templar are a very gas expensive unit. Tech is expensive, just everything is gas expensive about High Templar, so if you're planning on getting High Templar, make sure you have the resources to do it. Realizing we don't have the resources for Psystorm, morphing this into an Archon. Somewhat interesting decision. Still not building. Oh, no, we are building probes. Okay. Should be building more, though. Okay, we have a little attack going on here. Not sure if it's a good idea to push in here. We don't have much of a force, and could just be throwing an army away here, but poking and prodding, doing some damage. Could be a good idea. Forces the Zerg to build army units rather than drones. But really that's only useful if you're building probes at your base the whole game, which we are not. And we're sitting on 1600 minerals now. Again, if we go to his camera, he's just watching the attack happen. Okay, he is macroing up a little bit here, but for the most part, just watching the army attack. Could be expanding, could easily take an expansion right here. If you were to expand right now, there'd be nothing the Zerg could do about it, because he's having to take care of this attack. So you get a free expansion right now. Whereas, so that if this attack does fail, which it looks like it is, you still gain an expansion on the attack. Whereas right now, you're just going to do a little bit of damage, lose your army, and then pretty much be back where you were before. So you definitely want to be expanding when you're attacking, so that even if your attack doesn't go as planned, you still have a pretty big advantage over your opponent. And the Zerg does GG out of this game. So, most of that game, I was talking about basically mechanics. Constant probe production, spending your resources. These are things you gotta worry about until you're, high diamond league. Most problems can be traced back to mechanics. Not so much build orders, not so much, attacks made during the game, just simple mechanics, macroing up well. So definitely want to work on that. Definitely want to work on using your hotkeys more. Expanding, which goes back to macro. I have been pretty critical of this game, but there were also a lot of things that you're doing well. You had the right idea behind attacking a lot. At the end there we did see some good blink micro. You were preventing your stalkers from dying to the roaches, blink them back. That's always good. Your attacks in the beginning did quite a bit of damage, so if you are able to combine what you're doing now with good mechanics, you'll definitely see a huge improvement. Like I said in the beginning, had you done that damage and taken expansion, this game wouldn't have even been close. You would have won no problem much earlier. Would have been just rolling over your opponent. So keep working on those things, use hotkeys, macro well, and you'll definitely see an increase. Hope this video has been helpful, and thanks for watching.